The billionaire Sheik laughed at her. But his sixth-language translation left experts speechless. In the heart of a glimmering oasis, surrounded by fire-orange dunes, a temperature clash of wealth and desolation brewed under the sun's oppressive glare. It was there, in the extravagant palace where fortune collided with mystery, that Zara found herself slumped against a marble column, breath hitching in her chest as the sounds of the crowd buzzed around her like angry bees. Onlookers whipped their phones out, capturing the odd spectacle as the billionaire Sheik, draped in silk robes that shimmered like the night sky, threw back his head and laughed. His laughter pierced the air, arrogant and bold, as he hung onto a golden chalice, the fluid inside swirling with a mesmerizing glow. Zara's heart raced. She had spent months preparing for this moment, studying ancient languages, decoding cryptic texts, every bit of her life locked into this fleeting instant. Her hands trembled as she stood before him, a mere linguist smothered by an empire. The Sheik's laughter faded, replaced by an abrupt silence that was thick enough to taste. With a slow, deliberate flourish, he lifted an antique scroll, its edge frayed, and began a translation that left everyone on the edge of their seats, hushed whispers crawling through the crowd. His voice flowed like honey, smooth yet intricate. Each word pulled the room's breath as if a magic spell had been cast. Then, without warning, something inexplicable happened. A ripple of shock spread through the crowd. The Sheik's translation wasn't just coherent, it was eerily precise, stitching together 6 different languages seamlessly, capturing the essence of each word, the emotions behind them. Experts from across the globe stood frozen, eyes wide, murmuring that this was impossible. How could a man, who was known to consider the linguistic realms a playground, suddenly master a skill thought lost to time? Zara felt a lump in her throat. As the audience gaped, the unknown simmered beneath the surface like a simmering pot, questions twisting tighter than the braids of the Sheik's robe. The crowd's murmured disbelief ebbed and flowed, drawing closer, surrounding her like a sudden tempest. "Did you see that?" one onlooker whispered. Someone else gasped, broken sentences mixing in a cacophony of astonishment. Zara's mind raced. Was this all part of an elaborate facade? Who was this man, really? And what did he want from her? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The tension crackled like static, and a bewildering chill swept through Zara. Each tick of the clock echoed in her ears, an insistent reminder of time slipping away. Suddenly, the Sheik's gaze locked onto hers, his brilliant dark eyes piercing through the sea of confused faces. "You linguist," he beckoned, "tell me why I am able to do this." Her heart thudded against her ribs, thump-thump, as she sought the words. What did he mean? She felt the weight of the crowd's eyes, the yearning for answers shimmering like heat waves. Was this chance for her to step into a world far removed from her quiet existence? And just as quickly, she felt something deeper, a shadow lurking behind that confident facade, whispering secrets she wasn't yet ready to uncover. What is it that haunted the Sheik? What darkness swirled behind the luxury? With everything pulsing in uncertainty, Zara stood teetering on the brink, nerves igniting, and the adventure was only just beginning. Zara's breath hitched in her throat. Every eye in the opulent hall felt like a spotlight, scrutinizing her reaction. The Sheik's challenge hung in the air like a heavy weight. What could she say? Assuming she even understood the full extent of his question. Her voice faltered, drowning in the sea of anticipation. Panic surged through her, an electric current racing between her fingertips. You just translated a scroll that was thought to be untranslatable. How is that even possible? A murmur fluttered through the crowd as her words penetrated the silence. The Sheik smiled, an enigmatic glimmer dancing in his eyes, as if he held the universe's secrets within them. A good linguist knows the truth lies not just in words, but in the shared consciousness between cultures. He rolled the scroll carefully, as if it were an extension of himself, before handing it down to a waiting servant. Zara's mind spiraled. Consciousness? This wasn't just language, it was something deeper. What game was he playing? As his gaze remained glued to her, she felt an unshakable bond form, a mixture of tension and mystery that urged her closer, and yet pushed her away. Around them, the murmur transformed into a chorus of disbelief and excitement. "Did you hear that?" someone exclaimed. "He is talking about shared consciousness." Another voice echoed, "He is not just translating. He is breaking barriers." Amidst the crowd, a woman standing just behind Zara leaned forward, her voice a hushed whisper that sent shivers down Zara's spine. "You need to be careful," she said, eyes darting around nervously. "The Sheik is a powerful man. What seems enchanting can quickly turn sinister." Zara's heart raced. Was this woman a hidden ally or merely another bystander? The layers of this spectacle began to unfold before her. Each new revelation was a puzzle piece she wasn't quite sure how to fit together. The Sheik lifted his chalice, a grin flaring across his face, his confidence radiating through the air like a heat wave. "Here's to knowledge," he declared, his voice booming. The audience erupted into applause and shouts, the energy palpable, yet Zara felt a chill creep up her spine. Something was not right. As the celebration continued, Zara caught sight of a figure lurking at the edge of the room, his features obscured in the shadows. An uneasy feeling settled in her stomach, gnawing at her intuition. He didn't belong there. The Sheik's laughter echoed across the room, pulling Zara's attention back to him. "And you, linguist, join me by the fountain later. We have much to discuss." Her stomach dropped. An invitation that felt more like a command, tangled in layers of suspense. What did he want to share? And why did that stranger in the shadows send her heart racing with dread? As the crowd slowly began to disperse, Zara felt the weight of her choices building upon her. Could she really trust the man who wielded power with such ease? Or had she unknowingly stepped into a game where the stakes were far greater than she could fathom? In the corner of her eye, the shadowy figure moved closer, and Zara's pulse quickened. She had to know, was this person an ally, or something more dangerous? An urgency clawed within her, demanding answers. But as she moved towards the exit, a hand gripped her arm, a familiar voice cutting through the chaos like a knife. "Zara! Wait! You can't go alone." Her breath caught, and in that instant the world around her blurred. She turned, facing the growing darkness ahead, an adventure that was only just beginning, or a descent into something far more horrifying. What would she discover next? Zara spun around, heart pounding, and found herself face to face with Darnell, the only friend she had in this foreign world. His eyes were wide with panic, the kind that told her he'd seen something she hadn't. "Zara, please. You don't understand what's at stake here," he urged, urgency dripping from his words. She opened her mouth to reply, but her voice caught again, smothered by the electric tension in the room. The laughter and applause faded into a distant backdrop, replaced by the pounding of her own heart. "Stop. Just listen." Darnell gripped her shoulders tightly. "That Sheik, he is not just a collector of ancient texts. People have disappeared who got too close to his secrets." Zara's pulse quickened. The woman's warning echoed in her mind. Were the whispers true? Did the scroll hold something sinister? "What do you know?" she asked, her voice a shaky whisper. Darnell hesitated, glancing furtively over his shoulder. "I know enough. You have to avoid that fountain. It's a trap. Please, he is dangerous." A soft chuckle echoed, slicing through their conversation. Zara turned, instinctively searching for the source. The Sheik stood a few feet away, his demeanor casual yet terrifying, an unsettling smile gracing his lips. "Ah, sweet Darnell. Always the protective type." Zara felt a chill run down her spine, and a sinking sensation gripped her stomach. Was there no escape? With all the tension in the air, she couldn't tell if the room was spinning, or if it was just her fear intensifying. The Sheik stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers with an intensity that felt like a physical weight. "Come now, Zara. You have so many questions," he said, his voice low and inviting. "Why not explore the truth?" The crowd began to thin, leaving her feeling increasingly isolated in this world of opulence and hidden danger. And to think, moments ago, she had felt a magnetic pull toward him, drawn to his air of mystery. Now all that remained was dread. "Don't do this, Zara," Darnell pleaded, his grip tightening as the Sheik stepped back. "Please think about what you're getting into." but thinking had never felt so impossible. The sheik raised his chalice once more, eyes gleaming, a predator surveying his prey. You must seize the moment. Darling linguist, the fountain waits. You won't regret it. At that moment, a sudden hush fell over the crowd as the stranger from the shadows made his move, pushing through the assembly with an unexpected urgency. Zara could feel his eyes boring into her, desperate yet possessing a strange familiarity. Zara! A passerby exclaimed, pointing, panic spreading through the crowd. Darnell's grip slipped as Zara instinctively took a step back. She felt the breath leave her lungs, and at that moment, she was teetering on the edge of a precipice. What lay behind her was known, but what lay ahead was a realm of uncertainty. Trust me, the stranger shouted, rushing forward. You don't want to be here. The sheik is not what he seems. Her heart raced. Desperation painted Darnell's face, while the sheik looked on, amused, as if he were watching a play unfold. Then Zara caught the glimmer of something in the stranger's hand, a small, familiar object that seemed like a key to everything. The scroll. It was at her fingertips. The silence around them hung heavily, and she faced a choice that felt monumental. The sheik's invitation weighed in her mind, a call to uncover truths while the shadows danced wickedly around her. What would she choose, the dark allure of unfolding mysteries, or the warning of caution whispered in her ear? And just as the tension reached a boiling point, a muted cry echoed through the hall, sending a fresh wave of fear crashing over her. Zara glanced at the stranger, her gut churning with an undeniable instinct as he lurched toward her with an urgency that hinted at hidden agendas. Would she dive into the obscured depths of this intrigue or pull away, fearing what lurked beneath the surface? The eyes of the crowd turned expectantly, and Zara found herself on the brink of a decision that could change everything. She opened her mouth to respond, a word hovering on the edge of her tongue, but the scream exploded through the air once more, drowning out her thoughts. What would it reveal? A night of secrets had barely begun. The cry sent a tremor through Zara's core. No one moved. The entertainment of the night turned into a tableau of tension. Faces showed shock, fear, and confusion as if they were caught in a dream from which they couldn't wake. Darnell's expression twisted into worry, and the sheik's smile faded, replaced by a fierce curiosity that sent chills crawling up her spine. Zara! The stranger shouted again, desperation woven into every syllable. He surged forward, weaving through the onlookers who stood frozen, transfixed by the spectacle. Zara felt her skin prickle. Panic surged and her heart drummed like a warning bell, urging her to move. Come with me, he implored as he reached her, thrusting the scroll closer. It sparkled faintly in the dim light, an ominous whisper suggesting untold stories, ancient secrets, and forbidden knowledge. It can help you, I swear. Just listen. The fire in his eyes was fierce, burning with urgency like the flames licking at her resolve. Before she could think, she instinctively grabbed the scroll, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. But then the sheik's laughter cut through the air, low and smooth. Oh, how predictable. With a swift motion, he stepped closer to them, his face hardening. You really think you can take her from me? Tension snapped like a rubber band as the crowd stirred, cautious whispers beginning to fill the room. Zara's mind raced. The scroll was in her hands, the weight of its potential pressing against her palm, but so was the weight of the sheik's gaze, heavy, loaded with a promise of danger. Release her, Darnell shouted, stepping in front of her with defiance brimming in his voice. The way he stood, shoulders squared and fists clenched, ignited a flicker of warmth in her chest. She's not a pawn in your game. The sheik tilted his head, appraising Darnell as if he were an insect on a glass pane, interesting yet dismissible. His smile returned, sharper than before. You really do not know who you are dealing with, my boy. Suddenly chaos erupted. A sharp noise shattering glass cut through the murmurs, sending a ripple of electric panic through the attendees. Zara turned to see guests backing away from the fountain as water erupted violently. In the midst of the spray, shadows twisted and swirled. Zara! The stranger yelled again, his voice breaking over the surging noise. This way! Without a thought for the sheik or the gathering turmoil, Zara pushed past the ensnaring fear that gripped her. She began to move with the stranger, the scroll clutched tightly in her hand, her instincts roaring about the danger behind her. Yet, as they dashed toward the far side of the room, swirling mist from the fountain caught her off guard. It rose in thick tendrils spiraling around, almost beckoning her to delve deeper into its haze. Glancing back, her heart lurched at the sight a shadow loomed, unmistakably the Sheik, now gliding towards them, the corners of his mouth twisted in that unnerving grin. "Zara, you cannot escape the truth," he boomed, voice echoing off the marble. "It finds you wherever you run." The words sent a shockwave through her. She had to make a choice. Would she confront this truth, risking everything? Or would she flee, the scroll still shrouded in mystery, the knowledge it held unclaimed? In that moment, something shifted in the air, and as the shadows danced, the crowd erupted into chaos. She felt lost, torn between the familiar comfort of Darnell and the dangerous allure of the Sheik. What lay beyond the scroll? What was the truth that the Sheik spoke of? The stranger tugged her forward. "We need to go now." But as they turned, the water from the fountain exploded outward like a wave, crashing toward them, and a dread-filled silence fell once more. Zara stood between worlds, her heart caught in the haunting echoes of the Sheik's laughter and the stranger's desperate plea, uncertain of where that moment would take her next. What awaited on the other side of the truth? With the fountain roaring behind her and darkness approaching fast, she had to decide would she embrace the unknown or let it drown her in the chaos. Zara's breath caught in her throat as the water from the fountain surged towards her, catching the shimmering light like a deadly invitation. She pivoted, adrenaline flooding her veins as her instincts kicked in. Darnell was right behind her, his presence a solid reassurance in the maelstrom of panic. "Stay close," he shouted, his voice barely piercing through the cacophony. They dodged fellow guests, their faces masks of terror as the festivities crumbled into a disruption of desperate shouts and frightened gasps. But Zara's focus remained on the scroll, the enigmatic object cradled in her hand. Its edges felt frayed, vibrating with a palpable energy that seemed to call out not just to her, but to the essence of the chaos surrounding them. What secrets did it contain? "Over here," the stranger urged, leading them toward a doorway flanked by ornate pillars. Beneath the cascading water, the shadows took on lifelike forms, shimmering and morphing as if awaiting the commands of the Sheik. But he was still behind them. With the fountain's tumult drawing closer, Zara felt the weight of the Sheik's gaze pressing upon her, an unwelcome presence clawing at her mind. "You think you can flee?" His voice boomed again, menacing and distinct in the fray. "You will come back, Zara. You must." The words echoed in her mind, a drumbeat of fear that threatened to overwhelm her. Yet instinct propelled her forward. She risked a glance back, spotting the Sheik now a few paces away with a group of his guards, imposing figures cloaked in sharp black suits, eyes glinting with predatory intensity. "Zara." The stranger's voice sliced through her daze, snapping her back to the moment. Now, they stumbled through the doorway, a hidden passage that meandered away from the chaos. It opened into a dim hallway, the walls arching overhead like the belly of a beast. The thundering roar of the fountain faded, replaced by an eerie silence. Zara's heart still thundered in her chest, a frantic rhythm urging her to keep moving. Shadows swallowed the edges of her vision, whispering doubts into her mind. Was Darnell truly her anchor? Or was he another player in this twisted game? "Who are you?" she asked the stranger, desperation creeping into her voice as she fought to catch her breath. He turned to her, eyes wide with urgency. "I'm someone who knows the truth. That scroll, it holds the key to your past, to who you really are. We have to decipher it before the Sheik catches us." Zara's pulse quickened. "What do you mean, who I am? I don't understand. I've lived my life like everyone else." "Not everyone else," he insisted, grabbing her shoulders with a firm grip. "You have no idea of the power within you or the danger that's been following you since birth." She felt the air thicken with uncertainty. What danger? Before he could reply, a thunderous crash echoed behind them. The sound sliced through the rising tension. They whirled around to see the doorway they entered from was now occupied. A pair of guards had burst through, advancing quickly, a glinting weapon in hand. "Run!" Darnell shouted, pulling Zara forward into the depths of the corridor. They sprinted down the hall, echoes of their footsteps ricocheting like a heartbeat against the walls. Zara's mind was a swirling vortex of confusion, terror, and a growing sense of purpose. The scroll pulsed in her grip as if mirroring her rising anxiety. What truth lay within those fragile, worn edges? In a world spiraling into darkness, Could the knowledge it held even save her? The corridor twisted before them, and just when the light felt like it was slipping away, a heavy door loomed ahead, slightly ajar, a sliver of brightness emanating from the other side. A choice lay before her once again. Would she embrace the revelation that beckoned, or retreat into the darkness of ignorance? The clang of booted feet echoed ominously behind them. "Zara, move!" Darnell urged as the guards grew ever closer. With her heart in her throat and courage guiding her steps, Zara surged forward, ready to confront whatever waited on the other side. What awaited behind that door might change everything, but would she be ready to face it? The door swung open, a flicker of light spilling into the dim corridor. Zara hesitated, heart racing, but Darnell's grip tightened around her arm. "We've got no time. Go," he urged, shoving her gently through the threshold. The moment they stepped inside, the sound of pursuing guards faded into an unsettling stillness. They found themselves in a vast chamber, its walls adorned with intricate tapestries that shimmered like silver under soft lantern light. Rich fabrics draped from the ceiling, giving the room an air of grandeur that felt out of place in the chaos outside. "What is this place?" Zara whispered, mixing with fear. "It's a sanctuary," the stranger replied, glancing nervously over his shoulder. "The scroll, it's linked to legends that have held power for centuries. You need to understand that we're not just running from the Sheik. We're running from something much larger." Zara's head spun. "Legends? What legends?" Before the stranger could answer, the air shifted. A door at the far end creaked open slowly, revealing a figure swathed in dark robes. The Sheik, his features partially obscured, glided into the room with an unsettling grace. His eyes gleamed, a hunger reflected in the depths like a predator stalking its prey. "You thought you could escape me?" he taunted, each word coated with disdain. Fools running from fate only to find themselves trapped in another's web. A wave of terror washed over Zara as the Sheik's presence loomed. She could feel his power radiating, a tangible force that sent shivers down her spine. "What do you want from us?" she demanded, surprised by her own defiance. His laughter echoed off the walls, a cruel sound that twisted her stomach. "Oh, Zara, it's not what I want from you, it's what you hold. That scroll," he gestured dismissively, "is an ancient document of great significance." "Yes," the stranger interjected, stepping forward. "And its secrets can shift the balance of power. You want it for yourself." The Sheik's gaze snapped to him. "Clever boy. But it's not merely power I seek. It's the truth and understanding buried for generations." His voice dripped with unearned confidence. "And with it, you cannot begin to fathom the chaos I could unleash." Zara's mind raced. The scroll felt heavier in her hand, its secrets intertwining with her very existence. "You want to get it," she called out, resolve firming in her chest. The Sheik's eyes flared, narrowing. "You have no idea the force you're dealing with, Zara." "Maybe," she said, breath quickening. "But I want to let you control me." The tension in the air ignited as the Sheik stepped forward, shadows clawing at the edges of the light. Then a loud bang interrupted the standoff. A squad of guards stormed into the chamber, weapons drawn. "Get them!" one shouted, his voice echoing like a death knell. Darnell grabbed Zara's arm just as chaos erupted. The Sheik stepped back, a wicked smile curving on his lips. "This is your moment, Zara. Choose wisely." With guards advancing from both sides, Zara felt the weight of destiny crushing her. The scroll pulsed again, and suddenly, an overwhelming instinct surged through her veins. She had a choice: defy the Sheik and take charge of her fate, or surrender to the shadows inching closer with each heartbeat. "Zara, we need to move," Darnell cried, his shout cutting through her spiraling thoughts. But with one last look at the Sheik, one thought burned in her mind: what if she could flip the narrative? What if the truth within the scroll could turn the tides in ways she could never imagine? "Let's go," she yelled, bolting toward the opposite exit as guards rushed in. Behind her, the Sheik's voice, cold as steel, echoed in her thoughts. "You can't run from what you are not forever." As they fled through the doorway, an alarming thought struck her. Maybe there was a part of her that didn't want to run at all. What awaited beyond the threshold could change everything again. Would she find a way to harness the power within her? Or would the Sheik's laughter haunt her forever? They burst through the exit, bursting into a narrow, dimly lit passageway. Darnell pulled Zara forward, urgency flashing in his eyes. The corridors twisted like a labyrinth, every turn a choice that could lead to freedom or capture. Panic gnawed at her insides, each rapid breath soothed by Darnell's firm grip and the promise of escape. What now? Zara gasped, trying to catch her breath. What if he sends more guards? We need to find a way out. Darnell replied, his voice a low hiss. But first we have to understand what we're dealing with. The scroll, it must mean something he wants desperately. As they raced down the passage, Zara felt the scroll's weight against her chest, a steady heartbeat of its own. She could almost hear it whisper, begging for understanding. The walls of the corridor closed in, and the flickering light of lanterns cast eerie shadows that danced like restless spirits. She pressed the scroll tighter, feeling its pulse synchronize with her own frantic heartbeat. A sudden loud crash echoed in the distance, and Zara couldn't help but look over her shoulder. We're not alone, she said, panic creeping back. The sound of bootfalls echoed, growing louder. The guards were closing in. Just ahead, Darnell shouted, pointing to a door at the end of the corridor, its frame adorned with ancient symbols that twisted and squirmed in the flickering light. Zara reached the door first, her fingers trembling as she pushed it open. A vast courtyard spread before them, moonlight bathing the scene in a haunting glow. But the beauty of the moment was shattered by the clang of metal guards were spilling out through the corridors behind them. Over there, Zara yelled, spotting a low stone wall separating the courtyard from a larger garden beyond, tangled with vines and shadows. We can climb it. Without waiting for Darnell's response, she raced toward the wall, her heart pounding in her ears. They needed distance, a moment to breathe, to rethink their choices. She reached the wall, hoisting herself up, her fingers scraping over rough stone. Panic clawed at her throat as she heard shouting and barriers clanging behind her. Just as she reached the top, she looked back and saw Darnell still on the ground. Darnell! She screamed, urging him to hurry. He jumped, catching her hand just as the guards burst into the courtyard, weapons raised. With a swift heave, Zara pulled him up. They barely made it over when a voice bellowed from the courtyard, "They're escaping! After them!" The garden was wild and unkempt, filled with thick plants that clutched at their ankles as they ran. Zara glanced back to see the guards pouring over the stone wall. "We can't let them catch us." "No," Darnell grunted, sliding next to her. "We need to hide. The courtyard isn't safe." Maybe the scroll, Zara gasped, suddenly remembering. If it has power, could it protect us somehow? Darnell's eyes widened with realization. The legends, they say it can manifest protection in times of need. As they ducked behind a cluster of thick bushes, Zara held the scroll tightly. Could it really do what they needed? The Sheik's face from moments ago flashed in her mind, his arrogance, his belief in controlling fate. She couldn't let fear dictate her anymore. With a deep breath, she concentrated. The garden felt alive around her, the leaves rustling as if in response to her plea. The scroll vibrated with energy, a pulse that resonated deep within her. But just as she began to feel the stirrings of power, a deep, ominous laughter echoed from the entrance of the garden. "You think you can hide from me? It won't be that easy." The Sheik's voice twisted through the air like a vengeful spirit, and all hope felt like smoke in her hands. "What if he finds us?" Zara whispered, dread pooling in her stomach. "Then we fight," Darnell said, his jaw set resolutely. "We either harness its power or we face the darkness together." As the laughter faded into the night, Zara clenched the scroll tighter, knowing the next choice she made could seal her fate forever. Would she be able to face the Sheik and uncover the truth within herself? A sudden rustle nearby nearly stopped her heart. They weren't alone. Shadows shifted and she could feel those watching them, calculating their next move. Could it be allies or enemies lurking in the darkness? Fear crept closer, and as they gripped the scroll, uncertainty churned in her chest like a storm waiting to break. A sharp intake of breath echoed in the silence around them. Zara and Darnell remained hidden, their bodies pressed against the damp earth, every muscle tense. The rustling grew louder, and from the cover of the darkness, two figures emerged. They were cloaked in shadows, their movements smooth and practiced. Zara's heart raced as she held Darnell's gaze, a question unspoken between them. Allies or foes? "Stay low," Darnell whispered, eyes darting toward the figures. They watched as the two figures began to converse in hushed tones, their words indistinguishable but laced with intensity. Zara felt the scroll vibrate once more, a subtle reminder of its existence. Her mind raced with possibilities. Could it be the ancient power they so desperately needed? But would they risk exposing itself and by extension them? The figures shifted, revealing daggers strapped to their hips. Zara's chest tightened. Enemies. They had to be. Just as the realization washed over her, one of the cloaked figures turned abruptly, scanning the darkness around them. I swear I heard something, a voice hissed. Zara bit her lip, frozen in fear, as the other figure replied, That's just the wind. Focus. We need to find them before he does. Zara's heart sank. The Sheik wasn't too far behind. Darnell gripped her arm, nodding toward a dense thicket nearby. It was a gamble, but they had no other choice. They had to move. As they crept toward the thicket, a branch snapped beneath Zara's foot, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the still night. Did you hear that? The first figure spun, drawing the dagger from his side in a swift motion. Go. Hurry. Darnell urged, pushing her forward with urgency. As they ducked into the thicket, Zara felt the rush of adrenaline coursing through her veins. They huddled among the foliage, desperately hoping the darkness would cloak them. The figures moved closer, their silhouettes sharp against the silver moonlight. Zara strained to hear their conversation. His orders were clear. We must capture the girl and destroy the scroll before it can reveal its true power. My power? Zara's breath caught in her throat. What did they know about the scroll? Her mind raced with possibilities, and dread settled like a weight on her shoulders. Let us split up, the second figure instructed, scanning the area. I'll check this side, you take the other. We'll flush them out. Panic surged within Zara. If they separated, it would be even easier for them to be caught. She glanced at Darnell, determination written on his face. No matter what happens, we stick together, he said, leaning closer to her, his voice firm but quiet. We need to trust the scroll. The first figure approached her side of the thicket, shadows playing tricks on Zara's vision. She held her breath, feeling the adrenaline bubbling at the surface. The figure stepped closer, and Zara silently cursed the heaviness of the scroll around her neck. Suddenly the figure paused. What is this? He squatted down, brushing aside the low-hanging branches that hid their presence. Zara's heart skipped a beat as she caught a glimpse of his expression, confusion, then realization. There! He shouted, lunging forward. Zara and Darnell bolted, their instincts kicking into high gear. Behind them the shout rang out, echoing through the garden like a death knell. They're here! The chase ignited. Darnell pulled Zara along, weaving through the dark underbrush, every rustle behind them a reminder that their pursuers were closer than ever. Where do we go? Zara gasped between rapid breaths, struggling to keep pace. There! The old oak. Darnell pointed as they neared a gnarled tree that stood as a silent witness to their plight. A hollow underneath its massive roots offered a glimmer of hope. They dove inside, squeezing into the cramped space just as the sound of boots thudded closer. The figures were relentless. What if they find us? Zara whispered, her voice tremulous as fear cloaked her. Then we bring the fight to them, Darnell replied, gripping the scroll in one hand, his determination unwavering. As the voices grew nearer, a sudden rush of wind swirled around them, and Zara felt the scroll hum. Could it sense the danger too? Outside, the figures exchanged frantic whispers, pondering their next move. The tension hung thick, like fog closing in around them. Zara's pulse quickened, accompanied by the scroll's energy that swelled in the confined space. Then, unexpectedly, the first figure said something that made Zara's heart plummet. If we don't find it, he'll have our heads. Zara's breath quickened. They were really in danger. But there was something more, a spark of defiance igniting within her. Would she allow fear to rule her? No. The scroll had power, and perhaps its true strength lay in her ability to wield it. Darnell, I think I can try something, she murmured, feeling the energy thrumming through her fingertips. Are you sure? He asked, doubt flickering in his eyes. Nodding resolutely, she focused on the scroll. Whatever happens next, we have to be ready. They'll pay for underestimating us. But as she prepared to embrace the power, a sudden silence fell over the garden. The lurking shadows waited. What would emerge from within the depths of her own resolution? And would it be enough to confront the sinister presence hunting them? Just trust me, Zara whispered. And in the depths of the darkness, the storm began to gather. A deep silence enveloped them, heavier than the darkness itself. Zara felt the weight of the scroll pull against her chest, its energy crackling like electricity. She closed her eyes, willing herself to tune into the chaotic thoughts swirling in her mind. What if she unleashed something terrible? Would the power she hoped to command betray her? The rush of wind picked up around them, swirling leaves and whispering secrets. Darnell's hand tightened on hers, grounding her. "You can do this," he breathed, his voice low but filled with fierce conviction. "We have no other choice." Zara nodded, knowing he was right. Outside, the figures were getting restless, their booted feet pacing, creating a symphony of tension. She felt their eagerness to hunt, their nervous energy prickling at the back of her neck. She had to act now before they lost their chance. Taking a deep breath, she opened her eyes and focused on the scroll. It glowed faintly, pulsing with a rhythm that felt alive, beckoning her to dig deeper. She extended her hand cautiously. The energy coursed through her fingertips, a familiar warmth that tingled against her skin. "Come on," she thought, pressing harder against the scroll's presence. "Reveal your true power." The moment she thought it, an explosive force radiated from the scroll. A bright flash lit the hollow in which they hid. Zara gasped as visions flooded her mind, images of ancient battles, whispered chants in forgotten languages, and glimmers of power untamed. Just as quickly, the light vanished, leaving her breathless and shaken. "Zara!" Darnell exclaimed, his eyes wide. "What just happened?" "I don't know," she managed to reply, trying to steady her heartbeat. But was it fear or exhilaration? "I think I felt something." Outside, the figures had stopped moving. Zara's heart raced as she realized they must have seen the flash. They exchanged urgent words that hung heavy in the air. "The scroll. It must be nearby." One of them hissed. "Search everywhere." "Darnell," Zara whispered, dread creeping back in. "We have to go. Now." As they prepared to crawl out from their hiding spot, the ground trembled under the pressure of hurried footsteps. One of the pursuers must have tripped on a root, sending them crashing into the foliage. "Over here!" the figure cried, his voice sharp with anger. "They must be close." Adrenaline surged through Zara as she squeezed back into the space beneath the oak. "We can't let them catch us. We have to find a way to fight back." Another rustle drew closer, and Darnell gritted his teeth. "What do we do? We're trapped." "Not for long." Zara's voice was low but steady. The surge of energy from the scroll still lingered in her veins. It had ignited something within. "I'm going to show them what I can do." Before they could react, Zara extended her hands towards the figure outside the hollow. A deliberate thought coursed through her, fueled by the power thrumming inside her. She envisioned the ground trembling beneath the intruder's feet, capable of buying them just a moment to escape. "Ha!" The figure laughed mockingly, stepping forward. "You think you can just..." But he didn't finish his sentence. The earth erupted, a violent shake sending him sprawling backward into the darkness. A flash of panic gripped Zara as she heard the thud of bodies hitting the ground. "Let us go," Darnell urged, pulling her out from concealment. The night air slammed against her face, and they barreled into the chaos, hearts pounding like war drums. "This way," Darnell shouted, veering toward the east, where shadows stretched long like fingers. Behind them, the two figures scrambled to regain their footing, their curses echoing through the garden like shattered glass. "Don't let them escape," one barked fiercely, and Zara felt the fear deepen in her gut. They ran with all their might, the gnarled branches and dark bushes scratching at their skin, the chill air thick with cloying tension. The soft glow from the scroll was dimmed by the urgency of their escape. "Do you have any idea where we are headed?" Zara shouted, breathless. "Somewhere safe," Darnell replied, glancing back. "Trust me." Just as they rounded a bend, the forest opened up ahead. A clearing bathed in moonlight stretched before them. Zara skidded to a halt, her heart hammering in her chest. The sight before them made her stomach drop. An old, crumbling manor stood sentinel over the clearing, its windows glowing with unearthly light. "We can't go in there," Zara protested, fear creeping back in. "What if it's a trap?" "It's a chance," Darnell argued, urgency flaring in his eyes. "They'll come. We have to make a stand." The figures closed in, the growing shadows threatening to swallow them whole. A choice loomed before them, and Zara's pulse quickened. They could either risk capture or confront the unknown. "Are you with me?" Darnell asked, and in that moment, time stretched. Her heart resonated with the weight of the scroll and the shimmer of latent power within. Without answering, she took a step toward the manor, determination solidifying. What awaited them inside? Would they finally uncover the truth? Or would darkness engulf them both? The door loomed ahead, unanswered questions swirling like a tempest as they approached. Whatever happens, we face it together, Darnell said, and Zara nodded, knowing the storm was only just beginning. Zara pushed the door open, heart pounding against her ribs. The old manor creaked as if it had been waiting for them, an anticipation coiling in the air like a spring held tight. Dust motes hung in the light streaming through cracked windows, and the room was suffused with a deep foreboding silence. Darnell stood beside her, breaths quick but steady, their shared determination binding them in this new frontier of fear. With each step inside, the weight of the scroll in her hand grew heavier, pulsing with a promise of power and fear. What now? She whispered to Darnell, the shadows of doubt creeping back. We hold our ground, Darnell replied, eyes scanning the dim room filled with ancient artifacts and remnants of history long forgotten. You felt the energy when you tried to unlock its potential. We can use that. Use it against the Sheik? Zara's mind spun. Would confronting him lead to ruin or triumph? Suddenly, echoing footsteps disrupted the stillness. They're here. The shout reverberated through the manor, hastening the urgency in Zara's veins. Now or never. I need you to focus, Darnell urged, his fingers tightening around her wrist. You have to embrace what that scroll represents. You're stronger than you think. Taking a deep breath, Zara nodded, valuing the trust in Darnell's eyes. She closed them and felt the scroll's vibrations flow through her like a river of energy, fierce and raw. Breathing in deeply, she channeled the ancient power radiating from it, summoning feelings of courage and defiance, collecting her fears and opinions, transforming them into a force that could break the chains around her. The echoes of pursuit grew louder as the figures neared the manor, cloaked in menace. We have to hurry, Darnell said, keeping close while Zara focused her energy, visions swirling in her mind of the scroll's history, the battles, the alliances, the trials faced by those who wielded such knowledge. Okay, she whispered, opening her eyes, the resolve glimmering within them. Let's create a barrier. If they want the scroll, they'll have to face me first. But Darnell began, concern flaring. No, this has to be our stand. With the strength of determination igniting inside her, she raised the scroll above her head, feeling the air shift, electric with potential. I am not just a linguist. I am part of the story, my story. As she spoke, words began to flow from her mouth, unintelligible at first but morphing with power, weaving together incantations from ages past. The scroll illuminated, casting a warm, bright light that expanded around them, forming a wall, an invisible shield against the encroaching darkness. The growing intensity wrapped around her like a protective cocoon, pushing back shadows that clawed at the edges of their space. The door burst open, and the cloaked figures charged in, faces contorted with rage. There they are. One cried, but as they crossed the threshold, the barrier flickered to life, emanating a force that pushed them back. What is this? The first figure shouted, stumbling to regain balance as the energy swirled like a tempest around them. Fear flared in their eyes as they struggled against the unseen force. This is our truth, Zara shouted. You underestimated what it means to fight for your destiny. With each word she spoke, the light intensified. The scroll hummed with her growing power, and she felt the ancient legends awaken around her. Stories of courage, loss, and victory surged through her, knitting a tapestry of strength she had never known. Outside the manor, she could see the Sheik. The shadows appeared to twist around him like a cloak. His eyes gleamed with a predatory focus as he assessed the barrier, jaw set in determination. You think this will protect you? You cannot resist your fate, Zara. Not today, Zara screeched back, the power surging through her, bending and weaving reality itself. With a wild push, she directed the energy toward the figures, who were scrambling to re-establish footing against her will. A flash erupted as the energy met them, sending them sprawling into the darkened corridor. The air filled with the sound of shrieks and the crashing of glass. Victory surged through Zara as the wall around her pulsed, thriving under her command. Now, Darnell shouted, beckoning for her to join him. Let us get out of here. Zara seized Darnell's hand. Adrenaline shot through her as they dashed toward the doorway. The glow of their escape felt like freedom, an exhilarating rush that infused hope into every beat of her heart. But they weren't out yet. The Sheik's laughter echoed behind them, dark and haunting, like a ghost that refused to abandon them. "We can't let him near the scroll," Darnell warned, urgency coating his voice as they turned corners and barreled through the manor's openings, desperately weaving through the unfolding chaos. "But what if he finds a way to break through?" Zara pondered, fear creeping back in. "We make our own destiny," Darnell said resolutely as they spilled out into the moonlit garden. "And together we can face whatever comes." Breathless, Zara felt the truth of his words settle deep within her. This was more than just survival. This was reclaiming what was lost, defying what was destined. And as they raced forward, the shadows slowly receded, their hold weakening under the weight of what Zara and Darnell represented: their unity, their resolve, and the truth they now carried. It was theirs to wield and defend, to understand and ultimately embrace. Together, they left the haunted halls of the manor behind, stepping into uncertain futures, but this time it felt different. They were no longer fleeing the Sheik or his dark ambitions. They were running toward the light, ready to face whatever awaited them. And Zara, holding the ancient scroll, felt the strength of countless stories rush through her, stories waiting to unfold, waiting to reclaim their rightful place. A destiny she was finally ready to embrace. As they made their escape into the night, her heart swelled with hope and resilience. Together they would unlock the truth, for it wasn't the darkness that would define them, but the knowledge and courage that shone brighter than any shadow. Now, as they stepped boldly into the future, Zara realized their adventure was only just beginning. The scroll held answers, and for the first time, she could feel herself on the brink of discovering them. And while beneath them the earth rumbled solemnly, she smiled, knowing that this time, she wouldn't stand alone. Before the echoes of uncertainty could take hold, remember, you have to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will keep your heart racing. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and let them know you want more. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this conclusion. What do you think will happen next? This is your moment to show your support. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic conclusion. Only true fans realize the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Join us and let us dive into the adventures ahead, together.